record on this computer. All right, so welcome to the September coach webinar. Today, the agenda is mostly about coach opt-in and the associate coach program. So I'm expecting a smaller turnout today because it's really only those who are interested in those two elements. And I want to just lay out for you what it is that what comes next. I've been talking to you for quite a while about this, and it's not that nothing's been happening behind the scenes. There's feverish activity been happening, but you just haven't seen anything. So let's go to the first one. Okay, so the coach opt-in, I've got a bunch of people who are interested, and I've devised a survey. What I need to do now is work out who can do what. So I've put together a survey, and I'm going to actually just show you what that looks like quickly. Let's go. I'm going to go and share that one. Okay. It's here. Let's go and let's go there. Let's see. There. That's what I'm looking for. This one here. Can you see the questionnaire, or are you still seeing the webinar?
Yeah. NXT-9 coach profile.
Okay. So you're going to all get a link in the next little while. I'm going to put it on the group, and I'm also going to send it to the people who expressed interest. And basically what I'm asking is, tell me whether you're interested in supporting clients who come along to NXT-9 and then ask for help once they've done the x-ray, and in which areas, so that I need a bit of a skills matrix, so I can say someone asks for a strategy workshop, here are all the people who can do it. Oh, I want someone in Durban. Okay, it's Lynn or Sean, but Sean doesn't know anything about strategy anyway, so it'll have to be Lynn.
Lita isn't really Durban anyway.
Another clue.
So the survey covers 9 areas. Okay, it's basically about you. So tell me about you and your business, so that I understand a little more, so I can share that too. 2, it's about strategy. 3, execution. You should expect what's coming next. People, board and advisory, sales, ops, financial, investability. Basically follows the disciplines in the X-ray. Okay. And then I've got a number 10, other things you do. You know, you might say, well, gee, you didn't cover what I do in these questions. I also do X, Y, Z. So you can share that there. I did the survey. It takes you less than 30 minutes to do it. Okay. So I'm just going to run through. You can see their name, surname, share your LinkedIn profile, share a website, give me a short description, some key qualifications, contact details, male or female. That's interesting, by the way, because sometimes ladies ask for ladies. Okay, so I need to know that. Where you live, because sometimes, in fact, quite often, the people want this to be face-to-face. Some are not fussy, so where you are, what are you currently doing? I ask this question because some people, actually, I'm not coaching. I'm actually doing something else, and I do some coaching on the side. So just let me know that kind of thing. Like some people are busy building banks, and they are sort of amateur coaches, but building a bank on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And then your willingness to travel. Then we go in. So that's the first piece. Call it demographics. Number 2, strategy. Okay, so the X-ray itself. Some people will say, "Well, help me with that." And you'll see each of these sections. What I'm trying to work out is, have you done this before? If you've done it, how many times have you done it? And I've just put some categories here. I've not done it, but I want to do it. I've done 1 to 5 of these, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 50, and more than 50. I use this based on my experience. Okay, because my experience base covers all of those, depending on what the topic actually is. I don't know why there's an option 7 there. I'll have to go fix that. And then there's a comment section here. So you can add comments, anything you want to put there that helps add color to it, up to you. Okay. So then I go to market research, ditto. Then the strategy canvas in the X-ray. The strategy canvas is in there. It's a standard tool that 10x Entrepreneur uses too. Some people sometimes want an orientation on it. Coming out of the X-rays, listen, we better give you some basics on strategy. Tell me about, help me with that. Then sometimes they ask for just walk me through it. I don't want a big workshop. Let's just talk me through it, and we'll put my answers in so that I've actually got a canvas. Very, again, light touch. Then the next layer was what I call a strategy council. So now we want to solve, we want to go into detail in some of those pieces of it. Oh, please help me with my business model. My economics are shot. Help me make sense of customer lifetime value and all of that kind of stuff. That's what that's about. And then there's a full strategy workshop. Yes, I don't know what I'm doing here. Please help me. I need to do the whole kituti. Okay. And then, and this links back to the associate piece. 10x Entrepreneur has a specific IP around this. In actual fact, it's the IP that's sitting inside the X-ray. Okay, but there's more to it. And so if you have exposure to using the 10x slide decks and all of that, just let me know that too. Okay. Then there's a business model canvas. That's the piece in the middle of the X-ray, standard business model canvas, product development stuff. So that's sort of all strategic. Okay. Then we go to execution. So that's the next piece. Orientation. Just help me. What is execution about? Train me. Execution or OKR workshops. Cascading those OKRs down into organizations. That's basically a coaching kind of gig. And then projects relating to setting up the execution rhythms. Help me set up the weekly commitment meeting. Help me set up how I execute on a quarterly basis, how I set up my QRAPs and all of those kinds of things. Then there's implementation of OKRs, the quarterly reviews, the monthly management reviews, the weekly commitment meetings, and specifically, and those are all execution related things. Okay. On the people side, CEO and executive coaching, high performance teams. Guy Whitcroft, you've raised your hand.
Yeah, Wayne, just a question. I mean, I've got, as you know, a lot more experience from having worked in the workplace for 50 years than I have coaching. So the interventions, I've done much of this repeatedly with leading various companies over many years, but I've done far less of it as a coach.
Yeah, okay, I get your question. This is not about as a coach. It's have you got experience with the intervention? So when someone asks me, look, I'm looking for someone who can help me do XYZ, and they've done it lots of times before. Or actually, I want someone who knows their way through it, but I want a cheapie.
Yeah. So
yeah, guys very cheap. $50 a hit, it'll do a strategy workshop for you.
So an intervention is having done it for your own businesses or businesses you've been leading, as well as the coaching intervention side where you're coming in to help them.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And what I'm doing here is you can differentiate here between someone who has done this a few times and someone, this is actually their bread and butter. I've done this hundreds of times. Okay. Because then depending on what the person's looking for, I can say to them, listen, do you want a really seasoned strategist for this thing? Or do you want someone who knows their way around? Lots of experience isn't required. So depending on what they ask for, I then link you up. Alistair?
Just further to Guy's question, very similar situation. In terms of the experience, are you looking for, in responding to these questions, specific to the NXT-9 IP, or
No.
that we have experience in it? Just to clarify.
No, not. It doesn't have to be NXT-9 specific.
Okay.
It's a problem that you're solving. I have
Yeah.
experience solving this kind of problem. Yeah.
Okay.
And put it this
Wayne-
way, it's going to be fuzzy around the edges for sure. Okay. But basically, and we will fine tune this thing with time. Someone else made a comment?
Oh, Wayne, I wanted to ask, sorry if it's a
You
bit
know.
loud, I'm gonna respond. Wanted to ask, does experience, for example, if I sat with Ben in a coaching environment, helping a team with their high performing team, does that count as experience in terms of I've seen it, I've heard it, or is it more you facilitate the entire thing?
I guess when I was devising this thing, I wasn't counting spectator events.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But you can put that in the comment section. Under each one, there's a comment section here. So just be clear, because we want to be transparent with the clients, and
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
starts somewhere. So there are also things that I've only been spectator at, haven't
Yeah.
actually done myself. So we'll just declare that.
Okay, cool. Great. Sharp.
Yeah. Okay, so high performing teams, org design, top team assessments. And by the way, it's okay that if your definition of a top team assessment is different to someone else's, that will come out in the wash. Just share the details in the comment section. Performance management, succession planning. So all of this shouldn't be a surprise to you guys. Recruitment systems, job grading, REM systems, share ownership schemes. By the way, I get asked quite a lot about this one. Share ownership schemes, leadership and culture, team effectiveness, that's Lencioni and that kind of stuff, industrial relations. Sometimes people have got issues. Listen, I've got a crisis of governance with a senior employee. I need some IR help. People systems, and then board and advisory. This is your section, Guy. Advisory board, board interventions, director training, board assessments. Okay, I've not put lots there. Sales and marketing, marketing strategy, marketing org, processes, systems, sales strategy, sales org, same set of comments there, processes, systems. Okay. Operations, ditto the same. Operations strategy, operations processes, operations systems. That's interesting. Where's my operations organization? I missed that out. Oops. Okay. So you can see how this thing is stacked up. It's not rocket science. Then I've got health and safety, manufacturing, supply chain. Then on the finance side, financial, the organization side, the strategy piece, processes, risk management, turnaround projects, data projects, financial systems, investability. Sometimes people ask, can you work with this business to get them to investability? Fundraising, the two are different. And then I've just got the other section over here. Just tell me about what other things you do. Okay, so that is, so if you guys just fill in that thing, I've then got a database of information that allows me to match people with what they might need. That make sense? Okay. Okay, so after this meeting, I'll share the link and you guys can go for it. I'll put it on the, as I said, I'll put it on the group as well. So that's the opt-in piece. I mentioned to you, we've got another And this one's going to be quite a chunky one, another pilot project coming up that's going to be sponsored by F&B towards the end of the year. So there are going to be a lot of SMEs on it, somewhere between 50 and 100 of them. And it's very likely that they will need support after that exercise. So this is why we're preparing this. We don't know what extent there will be, but we're expecting that there will be a fair amount. Okay, so then we go across now to the associate coach side. So now this is coming from 10X Entrepreneur rather than from NXT-9. 10X Entrepreneur runs accelerator programs for the likes of FNB, for ACISA, for Vodacom, for others. We also run, those are 2-year programs or 1-year programs. We've also run interventions for investors. So an investor will come along and say, please won't you do x-rays on our portfolio, give us a proposal then for some interventions that follow that, and then we deploy coaches to work on those. And then there are the one-off events. Please do a strategy workshop for this business. Please do a culture intervention for that one, or whatever. Okay. And what we do here, we deploy 10X Entrepreneur's IP. So 10X Entrepreneur has a collection of associate coaches already. And, on this call, Guy is one of them, and I am one of them. And there are a few others as well. You think you've met Jason Goldberg, he's also one. Ben Skuman, who you've seen on the call, is one. And there are a few others as well. So 10X Entrepreneur wants to broaden that collection, because we anticipate that the work that happens with NXT-9 and what's happening on the 10X Entrepreneur side is going to result in an increased demand for services, and we won't be able to cope with the load as it is already. Some of us are quite heavily involved with NXT-9 as well, so our bandwidth is limited. So it makes sense for us to broaden it. So there's a process that we follow here. Jason Goldberg is call it the custodian of standards for anybody who becomes an associate, and it's a high bar. Okay, so what we do is, I've already asked for interest. A bunch of you have expressed interest to me. I said like 10 to 15 of you. So I've got that information already. And a few of you have already gone through this process. So Guy has gone through this process already. And I think Nicole has done the first part of it already. So basically what we do is we expose you to some IP, and we ask you a basic questionnaire to start with. So that's the first 2 pieces here. So right now, Nicole was the last person to get in through the door before Ed's Growth decided to change the training platform. So they're busy migrating this thing at the moment. So, hey, how's that for luck? I want to get going with this thing. They say, oh, no, you can't. I said, I can't access it anymore. Why can't I access it? Oh, no, we're moving the thing to another platform. So that's what's happening right now. But I'm going to show you what it looks like anyway. Can you see this? The library here? So this is basically, this should look familiar to you, Lynn. This is basically a bunch of stuff that you had a look at, I would have thought. Is that right? Do you recognize this?
I haven't seen it, no.
No, it wasn't. Okay, so it was different then. Okay, so basically it's a collection of material, and it also has information for associates and the like. So basically, it's a one-stop shop to share with you, hey, this is the IP that we use, and is what you should know as an associate. Okay. And then what we do is we also send you a short survey. This is basically to work out your experience base. Okay. Because Jason wants people who have had sharp end experience building businesses. Okay. As opposed to a coach who has coached a topic. The associate coaches need to have been in the trenches and helped build businesses themselves or helped others build businesses. Okay, so that brings credibility. The CEOs are fussy people, and for these kinds of programs, they want people who are tried and tested and have the scars to show for it. So this survey basically looks for that. So the first part, it says, well, have you been in the consulting world? Have you worked with the Bains and the KPMGs and the like? If so, share some details about that. Then, have you been in the corporate and competitive strategy part of the world? Have you got experience in that? And if so, how much? Okay, give us some details. Ditto strategy execution, dealing with strategic issues, org design, and then there's an other section over here for culture, corporate finance, and the like. Okay. Then there's a section that talks about, have you founded businesses? Okay, so the first part, you did it with consultants. The second part, as a founder in a business, okay, tell us about your founder experience, about the businesses, and what your roles were, and all of those kinds of things. And ditto, there are a collection of questions about that. Ask you to upload your CV, references from people you've worked with, and then this year is meant to link back to the IP that you've just had a look at in the training area. Does the mission resonate? Understand the fees model. Basically, this thing here is, because we work with small businesses who don't have a lot of money, we can't pay big fees. So the guys who work as associate coaches basically end up earning less than half of what they could earn in the open market. It's typically just over R1,000 kind of thing. It starts off at about R1,000 and it goes up with inflation from there. Okay, so that's what that piece is about. So that's the first survey. So then we see what your background is, and Jason has a look at it and he says, hey, tick, this person looks like they will have the scars that will bring credibility. Then the next part is a longer survey. So if you get through that one, then we say, okay, now tell us about your experience in more detail. And now what we're looking for is to understand what areas you're strong in, so we can deploy you in the right place. Okay, just because you've got that experience doesn't mean you're strong at helping people in all different areas. So that's what survey 2 is about. And you can see this one. No, that's not the right one. Listen.
I think my survey 2 got lost in the post.
Did it? Okay. Got lost in the post. Okay. No, this is the one that I've actually just taken you through now. Hold on one second. I'm getting myself confused here, guys. That one. That's the first one, and that's the short one. And this one is the long one over here. This is the matchmaking one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is the one that goes through it. Now we ask you about your personality, and there's a link to 16 personalities over here, so you can just do a quick thing and then give us the answers on that. Why do we do this? We try and match people up. We try and do something about the chemistry before we actually link people up. It's not often that it happens, but every once in a while we hit a spectacular miss with chemistry. And I've got to like extract one coach and put another coach in. And that's usually because I didn't read the client properly and I didn't understand what kind of coach they wanted. So like, I'm sure you wouldn't mind me saying this, but if you want someone who's going to hold you to task and hold you to account, Ben is your guy. Okay. But if you just want a nice, cozy chat with someone, Ben's not your guy, because he's going to say, listen, let's not talk fluffy stuff here. Let's get stuck into the details. So I need to match the right people up with the right kind of coach. And this is where we get a feel for that. Over time, I get to know, once we're working with you, I get to know you anyway. So intuitively, I work out, yes, this smells like a a guy kind of client or not. So yesterday I had someone ask for some particular help, or maybe it was earlier in the week, and straight away I thought, this is a Guy Whitcroft kind of gig, and you get a feel for that. Okay. So that's the first part. Then there are scale-up experiences. Again, there's some overlap with the other ones as well. But yeah, now we talk about industries, services, the market, nature of the role. So basically, we're into more detail here, and tell us more about the business. What did you actually do? How did this business actually grow? So we get a feel for your track record. Okay. And this, I'm not going to go through this. There's lots and lots of this kind of stuff. Okay, so basically, it's scale up experience. How, and it asks you repeatedly, like your first one, your second one, your third one, kind of thing. So you basically just fill that in. We then have a look at it, and that then I store that information. So when someone comes and says, I want X, I've got the information to work with that. Okay. So that is sort of like the survey kind of stuff. Now, once we've done that, we should now have a feel. This person's a fit, and Jason will say, Wayne, you can go for it with this person, or no, that we don't think this person has got the right background. Maybe this is a person that can be deployed doing a subset of it, but this is not an associate level kind of person. So what we do then at that point, we make the adjustments. After that, I do a briefing session with you, because clearly you need to know how the business works. How do we allocate? How do we execute? Where are the tools and the IP and all of that? How do we report? How do you invoice and get paid? All of those practical kinds of things. Then there's a contract that needs to be filled in. I'm going to show it to you. Where is this boy key? You're testing. Okay. Don't tell me this thing is now going to ask me. Okay, so now you're going to learn something about edge growth. They hide things away behind damn firewalls. Everything's got like a guard with an AK-47 outside the door. So I run probably 3 versions of Microsoft 365, and these things fight with each other. It drives me bloody dilly. So I'm going to just pass that. Suffice to say, there's a standard contract. It's about 12, 13 pages long. It's been got hold of by a lawyer. I could have told you all of that. I could have put into a few bullet points on one page, but that's not good enough for the lawyers. So it's all about the IP and protecting the IP, protecting the clients, all of that thing. So we as coaches don't go and steal 10x entrepreneurs clients. The usual stuff that you would expect to find. And now it's got a whole lot of.
What's a standard contract, Waddy?
What's that?
What is a standard contract? Is it one of
You
those
don't
that
know
we
what a standard contract is?
Eh?
A standard contract is one that has 10 times more sections than is needed. Each section has 10 times more words than is needed. Okay,
That's it, man.
that is a standard contract. Okay,
As long as we know what we're expecting.
exactly. So you'll take a long time to read it, and then you'll say, now what did that actually say to me? Let me read it again so that I can make sense of it. But eventually, what you'll discover is the standard secrecy and IP protection stuff.
I'm just ragging you.
Those kinds of things. Yeah, I'm used to you doing that, Sean. So that's okay. So that's the contracting piece. I don't think once we've signed that contract, we chuck it in a file. I don't think we've ever used the damn thing. So again, because there are legal entities involved here, we got to do that. Okay, so then we get down to business. So now we've got a new accelerator that is starting up in probably, I wanted to start it in September. It's more likely going to be October or November. The sponsor is busy putting us through the mill at the moment around the choices we made for the accelerator. But what I want to do is I want to use the events that happen there as an opportunity for new associates to learn the ropes. So shadowing. So if you're in Johannesburg, we'll link you up with someone in Johannesburg. If you're in Cape Town, we'll link you up with someone in Cape Town. If you're in Durban, where's Durban? Is that in South Africa?
It's the paradise.
And Belito, I don't know where that is. So what we'll do is we'll make a plan. Okay. Now normally that shadowing gets done at your expense. Okay. So we've got to find a better way to do this. And what we have done a few times in the past is basically had someone record an event and then we watch it. So there's a combo here, and that takes me on to the next section there, the training on the specific interventions. We've got people who are our designated expert on particular topics. So for example, for strategy, it's Jason Krause. For execution, it's me. And for the rest of them, it's a combo of people. But basically, what we'll do is we'll run some courses on them. We've also, the current associates, I'm going to get you in a second here, Alistair. The current associates, we meet once a quarter, okay? And what we do is we go through the IP. So one quarter we'll say, okay, we're going to go through strategy and how we actually are applying the IP at the moment. And we talk about it. And we recorded those things. So we've got a bunch of those recordings that it would be very useful for a new associate to just sit and listen to those things, put it on in the background while you're doing something else and just listen to what's going on there. And I'm assuming that you can multitask, by the way. I'm told only women can multitask, not men, but we can. Maybe not as good. So the bottom line is you can then absorb some of that information. And along with a briefing session on the IP, we then have you ready to deploy. What we normally do is you shadow somebody, so you see how they do it. We make sure you got the understanding of the IP, and then you do one, and someone keeps an eye on you, just to make sure that you've got the, you're doing the thing properly. With a largish intake, I have a suspicion that's not going to be practical. So we're probably going to have to adapt this thing, but that's what we normally do. And so at the end of that, you basically then have an understanding of what happens. And as the opportunities come up, I then deploy the coaches. Because I'm also the person who will, for the accelerator programs, I devise them and manage them. And for the investors and the one-off interventions, they also end up coming to me. So then I work out based on what they want, who's most appropriate. And basically what I do is I try and share out the business. Sometimes someone who comes along says, well, I know Jason Krause, he worked with me before, can I please use him? In which case then I allocate Jason or whatever. So basically, as opportunities arise, I deploy you. Okay, so that's basically how it works. It's not a particularly formal thing like a coaching organization. The steps I've given you might give you the impression that this is highly organized and formalized. In actual fact, there's some important basics in it, but it's a reasonably informal kind of setup, to be honest. Okay. Alistair, question?
Just in terms of the shadowing process and those sort of stages from, those workshops where we start shadowing, going through some of those IP of the recordings and all of that sort of duration, what do you envisage that to be?
It takes about 10 years. About 10 years to get through it. This is very detailed stuff, Alistair. Some people haven't got through all of it as we speak, Okay, but typically, probably the best way to describe that is an accelerator program. By the time they get through the first 6 months, you've got through strategy, you've gone through the X-ray, you've gone through the top team assessment, you've gone through the strategy workshop, the execution workshop, and the first quarterly review, and the CEO coaching is going. So you've got opportunity to see all of those things in a 6-month or so period. Okay. And then we run the boot camps. And so, for example, we'll run the sales boot camp later, and then sales interventions will follow. Ditto marketing, ditto culture, and the other ones that I mentioned down here at the bottom. We don't have boot camps on all of these. So I'll say here, for example, board and advisory. Basically, what we do with that one is when they ask if there's someone who we have who can deal with it, well and good. Otherwise, we point them in the direction of Siddhar. Okay. So it isn't always the case that we do it all ourselves, but we'll cover that as well. You know, for example, finance, we're quite light on. We've got a few people who will help you set up systems and tracking systems and help you tidy up your books and all of that kind of stuff. But we don't have a formal training course or anything on it, just all special project kind of stuff. So to answer your question, Alistair, yeah, about 6 months or so. Okay. Any other questions? And again, here, after this meeting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off this process. I'm going to get the surveys going, but the IP itself is going to take a little while for them to get that sorted out. As soon as I've got a line of sight on the data availability, that I'll let you have it too. But I don't want to wait because the accelerator program is about to start anyway. Okay. So that is my story for today. I hope you're here because you are interested, right?
It looks exciting, Wayne. Thanks for sharing, and I think thanks for making the opportunity available to all of us. Sure, speak on everybody.
Cool. Yeah, no, you're very welcome. Okay, let's park it there then. I'm just trying to stop sharing and I'm going to stop recording.